Church for the Night is this huge church in the town centre of Bournemouth that looms right in the middle of clubland. The doors open at 11 p.m. and clubbers come in, take a look in the church, see lights, dark, hear music, and they look and they think, what on earth is this doing coming out of a church? On the other side of town, there's a church that's been converted into a nightclub. But what we do with St Peter's Church in Bournemouth Town Centre is something quite different. One of the sessions we did on the friendship of God, and we did an art installation which had a kind of a built-in room with a front door and a doorbell that people could go inside and see lots of things around that you'd find in your house, and in there ask questions about what would you say to God if he lived next door to you. So the closeness of God. The next one we did was God of the universe, how massive God is. So we got in a 7-metre science dome which had a 360 cinema in it that kind of showed the stars, and we had a science guy come in and talk to people about the universe, and we had installations about water and the elements and stuff like that to get people to think about the hugeness of God, and we had projections at the front that said let there be light, and we had anywhere up to 500-600 people come through the church during that evening. We actually opened between 8 and 3 in the morning. So people will come in, they'll sit at the front, they'll write a prayer card out, they'll light a candle, they'll get a cup of free coffee or tea or cakes that the Mothers Union have made for them. They will maybe chat with one of us, maybe they won't. We had one guy that came in recently who had a gimp mask on his head, zipped up at the front, and he walked in on his own to the front, got a kneeler cushion, put it down on the floor in front of the altar, knelt down and prayed for like 3 minutes or something. Then he zipped the mask off, took it off, put it next to him, continued to pray for another few minutes, and then basically just got up and walked out of the church. Amazing visual display to see, and I don't know what he did, what he prayed, but he came in and he chose to kneel before the altar of God and you know, take his mask off before God and then walk out again. That's what we're here for. When I like see the night scene as it is with people walking around, I often like think, how are these people going to engage with church or with anything like that? I've moved to Bournemouth a year and a half ago. Before that I was in Ibiza with 24/7 prayer with their missional community serving clubbers in Ibiza. And I moved here into this kind of work, but discovered a lot of people around that were interested in getting involved in clubland and were working in, you know, with churches and just hanging out, going out to clubs with each other. And so I think from that, since I've been here, we've sort of joined with others. We've kind of met people out in clubs. We've met people who are in recovery from drugs and alcohol. We've kind of found each other in a sense, and we now have between 15 and 30 of us that weekly just come together for food, and there's no other agenda other than just to share food and hang out. But from that, people have become more interested. Some people have become more interested in faith, and so we've started to meet with people and discuss faith issues, to pray together. We just did a 24/7 prayer week in a chapel just next to the church, St Peter's. A whole bunch of us are reading the Bible together, doing the yearly thing and encouraging others to do it, meeting with guys that don't have any faith background and talking to them about, you know, their questions. And church means different things to different people, and that's a challenge, you know, to kind of encompass and accept everyone regardless of their kind of expression of church.
I've been going to Church for the Night since it began. My favourite was the Christmas one. I think it puts across the church in a different way to what you would normally perceive it. It makes it more relaxed, more friendly.
We're kind of just exploring what it is to be church, I suppose, within a different context and a different culture, and it is an emerging thing, which is obviously a common phrase, but we are looking at issues like discipleship and values together, and what makes us church together, and just kind of common values that people share. Now, some of the people that we're hanging around with aren't Christians. Some of the people have a faith in God, but not necessarily a faith in Christianity. So we've got a whole mixed bag. And to offer sort of acceptance and exploration and love and community with that kind of mix has its challenges. We do every week help vulnerable girls who are sat in doorways on their own, who've fallen out with their boyfriends. We help people find taxis or find their hotels when they've lost their friends. So we're just in the big mix of that on a Saturday night, and we have about 30 volunteers that do that with us. We're looking at values, things like hospitality, things like giving, things like mission, serving one another, and other things, so that people get a real sense of what we are about as a group, and we begin to build an identity without having necessarily a sort of an in or out mentality to things. My expression of church and of who I am is about meeting with other people in homes. It's about sharing life together day by day. It's about the things I'm interested in life, so dance music and dancing and joining a dance crew and all kinds of stuff like that, and meeting with other people and kind of expressing church in that kind of way. The gospel speaks about freedom, about loving one another, about serving your fellow man, about enjoyment. I mean, Jesus went to a lot of parties, hung around with a lot of people. God is part of every single part of our life. When I'm in a club, sometimes it's a challenge to focus on God in that environment, but I'm very much one that's wants to do that, and I know that those around me that I go out with want to do that too. For me, it's much more about giving myself to God wherever I am. That's the gospel that I know and love.